So, first, fill in the blank there at the top. Remember, blank is the opposite of multiplication. Well, we know division is obviously the opposite, right? But what we're doing right now, we call it factoring. So factoring is the same thing as dividing, basically. Because when we end up with our factors, it's something like this, right? Yesterday we kept getting our two parentheses. So if we multiplied those together, it goes back to being the long polynomial. So if I'm turning it into this, I'm undoing multiplication. Okay? All right, so first they ask us to multiply these together. So I have 3x times x, which is going to give us what? 3x squared. Good. Remember, we have the secret exponents of 1 that we added together. Okay, what about 3x times negative 12? What's that going to give us? 3x times negative 12, negative 36. Good. X. What about 6 times x? 6x, good. And then lastly, 6 times negative 12.
Negative 72.
Good. Okay. Is there anything that we could combine that are like terms?
Negative 36, negative 12. Or
Mm-hmm. So we have 3x squared. What is negative 36 plus 6?
30.
Negative 30. So we got negative 30x minus 72, right? Okay, so then this is what we were practicing factoring yesterday, right? So remember, the first step is to factor out a GCF if there is one. So do these three have a GCF between the three of them? What's the GCF? 3. Right, they're all divisible by 3. Good. Okay, so if I go through and divide all of those by 3, here my 3's divide out, right? And we're just left with x squared. What's negative 30 divided by 3? What is it? Good. And there's still an x with it. What about negative 72 divided by 3? Good. Okay, so I factored out my GCF. Remember, then we ask ourselves, what is the sum? Where is the sum supposed to be? The middle. So what's our sum?
Negative 10.
Right. Okay, and then they also ask for the product. What's our product?
Negative 20.
Very good. All right, so then we break those numbers down. So our product was negative 24. So we're asking ourselves, what will multiply to give us negative 24? First, what will multiply to give us 24? We'll start there. 12 and what?
2.
Okay. Is there anything else? 64. And also 8 and 3, right? So those are our options. We're going to check and see which one will work for us. So I need it to multiply to give me a negative. That means one of them has to be what? Positive, and the other one has to be right. Okay. And when I'm picking, I need them to add to give us negative 10. Okay. So let's look at our first option here. If I had negative 2 plus 12, what's that going to give me? Positive 10. So not what we want, right? What if I flip that around? 2 and negative 12. What does that add to give me? What is it? Negative 10. And is that what we were looking for? So that's going to be my choice. So in my final answer, what am I supposed to put in this blank out in front?
3.
The 3, right, the GCF. Good. And in my first parenthesis, I'm going to have x what? Plus 2. Very good. And then the other one will be minus 12. Very good. Okay. So here it says for all of these, we will factor completely. So first thing we look for is a GCF. Does number 1 have a GCF? What is it? Okay. All right, so my GCF is 2, so I go and divide everything by 2. 2's divide out there, and I'm left with x squared. What is negative 6 divided by 2? Very good. And what's negative 36 divided by 2? Negative what? 18. Good. Okay. So now that we've taken out the GCF, what do I look for next? Your sum. What is the sum? And then the product is? All right. So what multiplies to give us 18? 3 and 6. Okay, so let's check and see if 3 and 6 will work for us. One of them has to be what? Negative. What's negative 3 plus 6? 3. And we need it to be, okay, so let's flip it. 3 minus 6. So that works, right? That must be our option. Okay, so in front of my parentheses, what am I going to put? Good. And in the first one, I'll have x plus 3 and x. Good. Okay. Number 2. First thing we look for is a what? Does this one have one? No. Okay. Then what is the sum? Good. And what is the product? Perfect. All right. What multiplies to give us 28? Okay. 7 and 4. 14 and 2. Good. That'll work too. All right. So we're going to check, see which one works best for us. So 7 times 4 is 28, but I need them to add to give me what? Negative 11. So 7 plus 4 is 11. What if we make them both negatives? Then we'll get negative 11. Does a negative times a negative give us a positive? Yeah. Okay. So no GCF, so I just have 2 parentheses that say x minus 7, x minus 4. Okay. Number 3. Do we have a GCF on number 3? No. Okay. So GCF, none. Okay. Then we're supposed to find sum and product. Sum is supposed to be where? In the middle. Do we have anything in the middle? No. So if it's not there, it must be 0. Okay, what's our product? Negative 25. Okay. So we need something that will multiply to give us negative 25. 5 and 5, and one of them has to be negative to multiply to give us a negative. Good. And they're supposed to add to give us 0. Is negative 5 plus 5 0?
Yes.
Okay, so there's our 2 parentheses. X minus 5 and x plus 5. All right, last one here on the front page. Does this first one have a GCF? No. Okay. So what's the sum? 3. And the product? Okay. What multiplies to give us 10? 5 and 2. Okay, but it's supposed to multiply to give us a negative 10, so one of those has to be negative. Okay? If I make the 5 negative, what's negative 5 plus 2? What is it? Negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3. And I need it to be positive 3. So what if I flip them? What's 5 minus 2? 3. So that will work. So we got our x plus 5 and our x minus 2. All right, flip it over on the back. We've got a couple more to look at. All right, number 5. What am I looking for first? GCF. It's a 3. Good. All right, so we divide everything by 3. There, my 3's are going to divide out. So I'll have x squared 30 divided by 3? Good. And 27 divided by 3? Good. Okay, so now that we've taken out the GCF, what is our sum? Good. And our product? Okay, so what multiplies to give us 9? 3 and 3. Anything else? 1 and 9, good. Alright, so let's check and see if any of these work. Okay, so 3 plus 3, what's it supposed to give us? Is 3 plus 3 going to give us 10 though? No, it's not those. What about 1 plus 9? Yeah, that one works. So what am I going to put first? The 3, good. And then I'll have x with our positive 1 and x with our positive 9, right? Okay, number 6, what am I looking for first? GCF. What is our GCF? 4, okay. So we divide both of these by 4, okay? So here my 4s are going to divide out. And what's negative 36 divided by 4? Negative 9. Okay, so what's my sum for this one? 0, right? Because there's nothing in the middle. Very good. And my product? Negative 9. All right, so what multiplies to give us negative 9? Negative 3 and 3. And will those add to give us 0? Yeah, negative 3 plus 3 is 0. So, what do I put first? The 4. And then we'll have our x minus 3 and our x plus 3. Good. Okay. Number 7 says that the toy shown below is made of several wooden blocks that fold together to form a rectangular, I don't know why I cut out some of our letters here, but rectangular prism. Says, or unfold it to form a ladder. What expression can be used to represent the dimensions of the toy when it is folded up? Okay, so it tells us over here that this is the volume when folded, right? So they want us to break it down, right? Find the factors. So I've got 6x cubed plus 18x squared plus 12x. What do we look for first? GCF. Good. Okay, what is the GCF here? They do all have something we can divide by 6. Do they have anything else? An x. They all have an x, right? So I can also take out an x. So our GCF is 6x. So I divide all of these pieces by 6x, all right? Okay. So I put my GCF out in front, and we're going to see what this all is going to become. So our 6's divide out, right? What's the secret exponent for this x down here? 1. And what do I do with that? 3 and 1. Minus. What is 3 minus 1? Good. So we're left with x squared. Okay. Then we have 18 divided by 6. What's that? Good. So plus 3. And I had 2 here, a secret 1 here. Just like last time, we subtract. So it's 2 minus 1, 1x. Good. All right, and then that last term, 12 divided by 6 is good. And we've got 1x in the top and bottom, so what happens? They're gone, right? Okay. So now that we've taken out the GCF, what's our sum? Good. And what's our product? Good. All right, so what multiplies to give us 2? 2 and 1. And will 2 plus 1 give us our sum? Yeah. Okay. So what am I going to write down first? 6 what? 6x. Very good. So we got our GCF. Then for our parentheses, we're going to have, very good. Okay, and it asks what would be the expressions. We've got 1, 2, 3. So like our length, width, and height, which is what we multiply to find volume, right? Good job. All right, last one. It says, which one of these functions is equivalent to this? Okay. Well, if it starts out with a 4x squared, that means when we multiply the first two things together, it has to give us 4x squared, right? So let's check here. I've got x times 4x. What's that? 4x squared. Okay, so that one has it. Let's check the next one. What's x times 4x again? 4x squared. Here we've got, again, x times 4x, so 4x squared. Here we've got 2x times 2x, which is also 4x squared. Okay. All right. So now we move on to the middle terms. Okay, so what's x times 1? 1x. And negative 2 times 4x. Negative 8x. Good. And those two are like terms, right? What is 1 minus 8? Negative 7. And ours is up here, and the answer is supposed to be plus 7. Okay, so we know it's not this one, so we'll stop there. Okay, next one. X times negative 1 is good. And 2 times 4x is good. All right, so here when I put them together, what's negative 1 plus 8? Okay, so that one works, right? So then the last thing we have to check is 2 times negative 1, and what's that? 2 times negative 1. Perfect. And does that match the one from the top? Okay, so that's our answer.